Imagine if you are reborn in another world, and blessed by all the gods with overpowered abilities, what would you do? The story begins with a boy, Kaazuya Shiina, who runs into some girls who are escaping from a thug wielding a knife. He tries to tackle him to the ground, but gets stabbed and dies instead. After that he wakes up in the body of a child and freaks out when he sees his reflection in the mirror. He realizes that he has been reincarnated into another world and looks around his surroundings, trying to understand the world he is in. He also checks inside his pants. Well, it's only natural to check one's gender after rebirth, right? Good news is that he's still a boy, bad news is that he'll have to wait for quite a while before he can use his Excalibur again. In this new world he discovers his name is Cain von Silford, the third son of a high-ranking aristocrat named Garm. His mother's name is Sarah, who is the second wife. He also has an older sister named Rain. The first wife is Maria and she has two sons, Jean and Alec. He learns that his father has his own army that protects the kingdom from invasion by other countries, and he also owns a forest of monsters in the south. Cain is excited to live in this new world where magic exists. Looks like dying in the other world was worth it, and since he died single he can make up for it in this world where having multiple wives is common among nobles. So he starts to learn more about this world. His family is surprised that he has learned to read and write and can even do math at such a young age. They start to think that he is a genius, but they don't know that he is only a high schooler stuck in the body of a 3-year-old. Cain requests his father to read books on the history and magic of this country, and he allows it. His sister thinks it's too early for him to learn magic, and he needs to be baptized first, which happens at the age of 5. His family also thinks that he can't use magic until then. But Cain realizes that he can already use magic, but he is having a hard time controlling it. He tries to hide it from everyone around him. His sister, Rain, realizes that he is studying about the outside world, so she teaches him about the 300-year history of the kingdom as well as the different races in the world, and Cain is excited as he can have his dream harem with different kinds of races. He also learns that the first king of this kingdom started out as an adventurer, and his name was Yuya, and he realizes that this guy is from another Isekai Insights video but decides to watch it later. After 2 years, the day of Cain's baptism has arrived. On the way, he learns that everyone can open a status window to see their stats after the ceremony. In the stats window he sees that his sister can use 3 types of elemental magic. It also says that she is obsessed with Cain, and he is excited about Siscon plot development. Sarah reveals that Rain was granted a level 2 blessing by the god of magic. They explain that the blessing goes up to level 5 and is given by one of the 7 pillar gods whom they worship as part of their kingdom's religion. They arrive at the Church of Gods and the priest begins the ceremony. Suddenly, a blinding light fills the air, and Cain finds himself transported to the realm of the gods, face to face with all 7 of them. Overwhelmed and caught off guard, Cain wonders if the god of creation, Senem, is just some weird old man dressed in cosplay. But before he can complete that thought, Senem interrupts him, making it clear that the gods can hear his every thought. The god of death and rebirth, Lime, reveals that Cain's death was unexpected because if he hadn't interfered, the thug would have tripped and would have gotten caught. But now the thief has been charged with his murder. Talk about an ultimate bummer, as Cain died for nothing. But the god of earth was moved by his actions, so he was reincarnated into this new world. Lime apologizes because Cain was not supposed to recall his memories at such a young age because the memory of breastfeeding and changing diapers could cause mental trauma. But Cain tells her that it's fine since it was filled with plot, and allowed him to learn magic and even enjoy life with his new family. After that, the god of magic, Reno, approaches him and gives her blessing, followed by Senem and the other gods. Cain receives blessings from all 7 gods. Senem hints that Cain should check his blessing stats when he returns and lets out a mischievous laugh. When he returns to the priest, the statue shines brightly, a sight the priest has never seen before. Garm, curious about Cain's status window, wants to take a look, thinking that Cain must have received multiple blessings. However, Cain quickly makes an excuse, claiming stomach pain and hurries away to check his stats secretly. To his shock, all his magic blessings and skills are at level 10, surpassing the maximum level of 5. He uses Senum's ability to conceal his stats. Back at home, everyone celebrates Cain's birthday, and Garm asks to see his stats again. Cain shows them, thinking he has successfully concealed his status, but they are still astounded by the numbers, particularly his overwhelming magic power, which he forgot to fix. Garm mentions that even the most esteemed royal court magician has a power level of 10,000 at most, nowhere near Cain's level. He acknowledges that with Cain's skills, he will succeed in any job he chooses, but warns him never to reveal his status window to anyone, as he could be seen as a threat to the kingdom. Cain returns to his room, wondering what is considered as average stats. He sees a book about summoning magic, so he goes outside and tries to summon a playmate. But he ends up summoning a demon instead. It starts attacking his sister, who happens to be passing by. He tries to attack the demon with a fire spell, but the demon grabs onto him. While he uses a return spell to send it back, he drops onto the floor and passes out. But he eventually regains consciousness and is happy to see that his sister is smiling and everything is fine. Later, he is presented to a crowd during his debut. He reveals that his goal is to become an adventurer and protect everyone. Meanwhile, we see the gods discussing giving Cain their overpowered blessing. Senna mentions that it's still not enough, and he needs him to be the strongest on the continent by the time he turns 16. Looks like gods have their own plan for Cain. Later, we see that Garm advises Cain to study more to achieve his goals and arranges for tutors to assist him. In his room, Cain wonders what his tutors will be like. He sees them walking towards his mansion, and in excitement, he uses his teleportation skill but accidentally falls onto the most convenient spot possible. The tutor remarks that he won't get anything from there, and he apologizes to her. The tutors introduce themselves as Millie and Nina, who are D-rank adventurers. Nina is an elf, who is a bit shy. Cain reassures them that they don't need to be formal since they are his tutors, putting them at ease. Garm instructs them to teach Cain for 3 years, and they immediately begin his training. They head to the training grounds, where Millie asks Cain to perform some swings. She is amazed by his skill, and suggests a mock fight. Cain charges at her and she struggles to block his attacks. Nina asks him if he received the blessing of the god of war, to which he admits. As the fight continues, Millie realizes she won't be able to keep up with his speed, and suggests that Cain starts learning magic from Nina, before he penetrates her with his wooden stick. Nina reveals that she has a level 3 blessing from the god of magic and intends to start with the basics. However, Cain demonstrates his knowledge of beginner-level magic, and Nina is surprised that he can already use chantless magic, and explains that intense training is required to shorten incantations. She concludes that he is a genius. Millie notes that he even used all the elements, which Nina believes is impossible, as no one in their world can use all the elements effectively. Cain confesses that he also has the blessing from the god of magic, leaving his tutors impressed. And since he is so good at keeping a low profile, he offers his tutors a towel from his item box, and the girls realize that they are basically useless. Cain requests to have a practice session outside since he has never been outside before. His tutors seek permission from Garm, explaining that Cain's training could potentially lead to the destruction of the mansion due to his extraordinary abilities. Garm grants permission, and the following day, they go outside for practice. Nina instructs Cain to cast an intermediate-level magic spell on a rock. However, the spell turned out to be far more powerful than expected, causing the rock to explode and blow his tutors away, leaving behind a giant crater. Nina informs Cain that the spell was way beyond intermediate, while Millie wonders why he still doesn't feel tired. This leads them to realize that he has enormous magic power. Suddenly, a killer rabbit appears and charges at Cain. He skillfully dodges its attack and kills it. Nina uses her GPS spell to locate more monsters for them to hunt, and it reveals the location of nearby creatures. Cain expresses his interest in learning the GPS spell, and Nina briefly explains it to him. He tries it out, and successfully detects nearby creatures. He also identifies their exact numbers, surprising Nina with how he was able to detect so accurately. They defeat the creatures, but one monster escapes into the forest. Cain starts to chase after it, but Millie stops him, warning that the forest is infested with strong monsters that attack the city every few decades, and this is why there is such a huge outer wall built in the city. That evening, Cain realized that he had already reached level 8 thanks to a skill that granted him 100 times XP gain. He worries that if his true status were to be known, he might be taken under state control or even executed. He blames the gods for making him too overpowered, as all he wanted was to have some fun and adventure in this new world. The next day, Cain's tutors took him to the Adventurers Guild to gather information on quests that would be perfect for Cain. There, they encounter a C-rank adventurer who mocks their low ranking and babysitting a child. He asks them to ditch the kid, and have a drink with him. He grabs Nina's hand, and few of his men restrain Millie but Cain intervenes. He throws the man to the ground, and he tries to attack him with his sword, but Cain easily dodges it, and easily defeats the man and his men. His tutors were once again amazed by his combat abilities, and expressed their gratitude for saving them, while Cain wonders if it's too early for him to start a harem. After that, they continued their training session and had a great time together. Jumping ahead to 3 years later, it is revealed that the tutors have declined the extension of their contract. Cain wanted to give them farewell gifts, so he went to the forest. He defeats a blood ogre, and next an earth dragon to create a magic bag for them. The city guards saw the fire from the battle, and thought it was a monster attack. They summoned Garm to investigate, but all they found was a giant crater, and a towel that Cain had dropped which Garm seems to recognize. On the last day of training, Cain presents the magic bag he made to his tutors, and they are astonished to learn that he killed monsters that usually require a party of A-rank adventurers to defeat. Cain mentions that the bag can barely contain the size of his mansion, but his tutors are taken aback because the magic bag they intended to buy is only the size of the back of a carriage. They believed that what he had created was on the level of a national treasure, but they were concerned that someone might try to steal it from them. However, Cain assures them that he has modified it so that if anyone other than them attempts to pick it up, the weight of its contents will double. His tutors conclude that the bag is even more valuable than a national treasure. They express their gratitude, and bid him farewell with a kiss, hoping to meet him again in the future when he grows up, while Cain hopes to get more action next time. After that we see that Garm is scolding Cain for recklessly using his powers in the forest, and asks him to be more careful in the future. This is where the video ends. Thanks for watching and have a good one.